The fall of Jericho, that will leave you speechless, is one of the most breathtaking moments in the Bible. A story of faith, obedience, and God's unstoppable power. This is the full story of the fall of Jericho in the Bible. Chapter 1. The commander of the Lord's army. Joshua stood alone near Jericho's imposing walls, his eyes fixed on the fortified city that blocked Israel's path into the Promised Land. The weight of leadership pressed heavily on him. 40 years of wandering were behind them. Ahead was destiny, but Jericho stood in the way. Its double-layered stone walls loomed high, nearly impenetrable. Inside, the people of Jericho trembled, yet refused to surrender. They had heard of Israel's God, the one who parted seas and crushed Egypt's power. Still, they clung to idols and locked their gates. As Joshua reflected, a figure appeared before him, a warrior with a drawn sword. Startled, Joshua stepped forward and demanded, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" The stranger's answer stunned him. "I am neither. I am the commander of the army of the Lord. Now I have come." Joshua fell to the ground in reverence. "What message does my Lord have for his servant?" he asked. "Take off your sandals," the commander said, "for the place you are standing is holy." Joshua obeyed. In this sacred moment, God was confirming. This battle would not be won by might or military skill. Victory would come by faith and obedience. Chapter 2. God's strange strategy. The next morning, Joshua gathered the priests, elders, and warriors. The plan God had revealed was unusual. "Here's what the Lord says," Joshua began, his voice strong. "We will march around Jericho once each day for 6 days. 7 priests will carry 7 trumpets in front of the Ark of the Covenant. On the 7th day, we will march around the city 7 times. Then, when the priests blow a long blast on the trumpets, we will all shout. Then the walls will fall." Some eyebrows rose. No swords, no siege engines, but no one objected. The people had learned. Obedience brings victory. The next day, the procession began. The priests carried the ark, the sacred symbol of God's presence, as soldiers marched silently behind. The only sound was the eerie cry of the ram's horns echoing off the stone walls. Inside Jericho, the people looked down in confusion and fear. What were these Israelites doing? Was this some form of psychological warfare? Outside, the Israelites completed 1 lap, then returned to their camp. Day after day, the pattern repeated. No words, no arrows, just the silent, strange procession and the blowing of horns. Chapter 3. The 7th day. At dawn on the 7th day, Joshua commanded the people to rise early. Today was different. "Today," he said, "the Lord will deliver the city into our hands." The army formed ranks again, but instead of marching once, they circled Jericho 7 times. Inside the city, panic grew with each lap. The people trembled behind their closed gates. On the 7th lap, Joshua raised his hand. The priests gave a long blast on the trumpets. Joshua shouted, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." Thousands of voices erupted in a roar that seemed to shake the heavens. And then, it happened. The earth trembled, the mighty walls cracked, stone split from stone. The unthinkable became reality. The walls of Jericho collapsed completely. God had honored his word. Chapter 4. Mercy and Judgment. Amid the chaos, Joshua remembered Rahab, the woman who had sheltered the Israelite spies. "Go to her house," he ordered. "Bring out Rahab and all who are with her, as we promised." Marked by a red cord, Rahab's house stood untouched. She and her family were led to safety before the city was destroyed. The Israelites burned Jericho. Everything, gold, silver, bronze, iron, was set aside for the Lord's treasury. The city was never to be rebuilt. Joshua declared, "Cursed is the one who rebuilds Jericho." At the cost of his firstborn, he will lay its foundation. Thus, Jericho became a memorial of God's power of obedience and of his ability to make the impossible possible. Chapter 5. Lessons from the Rubble. The fall of Jericho wasn't about military genius. It was about trust. Every lap around those walls, every silent step, was an act of faith. Israel didn't shout before God told them to. They didn't question his strange instructions. They walked, they waited, they believed. God had taught them this. Obedience is stronger than strategy. Faith is greater than force. And the story didn't end in destruction. It ended in mercy. Rahab, a woman from a city marked for judgment, became part of Israel's family. She would go on to become an ancestor of Jesus Christ. From rubble came redemption. Epilogue. Walls still fall today. You may not face stone walls, but you may face walls of fear, shame, or hopelessness. Like Jericho, they may seem impenetrable. But the story of Jericho teaches us this. When God speaks, listen. When God leads, follow. And when God promises, believe. Because when his people walk in faith, walls fall. Always.